So good day everyone. This presentation focuses on the American occupation of the Philippines. What is it about? The American occupation of the Philippines began in 1898 after the U.S. defeated Spain in the Spanish-American War. The U.S. acquired the Philippines through the Treaty of Paris 1898 for the $20 million. The Philippines became a U.S. colony until 1946 when it gained independence. So, the U.S. took over the Philippines in 1898 after defeating Spain. The Philippines became a colony until gaining independence in 1946. Key events: Spanish-American War, 1898, triggered by the sinking of the U.S. ship Maine in Cuba. U.S. defeated Spain in the Philippines under Commodore George Dewey. 2. Mock Battle of Philippines, August 13, 1898, a staged battle between Spanish and the U.S. to avoid Filipino involvement. 3. Treaty of Paris, December 10, 1898, officially ended the war. Philippines was ceded to the U.S. So, the Spanish-American War led to U.S. control of the Philippines. The Treaty of Paris officially handed over the country, excluding Filipinos from the agreement. Why did the U.S. annex the Philippines? Economic interest, access to resources and markets in Asia. Military strategy, established a naval base in the Pacific. Ideologies, manifest destiny, belief in U.S. expansion. White man's burden, justification to civilize Filipinos. So the U.S. wanted a Philippine for trade, military purposes, and to spread their culture, believing it was their duty to help Filipinos. Resistance and War. Philippine-American War, 1899 to 1902. Filipinos, led by Emilio Aguinaldo, resisted U.S. colonization, resulted in over 200,000 Filipino deaths, mostly civilians. Filipino fought for the freedom in the Philippines-American War but were defeated, with many civilian lives lost. Effects of American rule. Positive reforms: introduced public education like English medium, built roads, bridges, and infrastructure. Negative impacts: suppressed Filipino nationalism, continued colonial control. So, the U.S. built school and infrastructure but controlled the government and suppressed Filipino nationalism. Independence. 1935, Commonwealth of the Philippines established. July 4, 1946, full independence granted after World War II. So, the summary of this: U.S. colonized the Philippines after defeating Spain in 1898. Filipinos fought for independence but were defeated in the Philippines-American War. Reforms and infrastructure were introduced but colonial rule continued. Independence was achieved in 1946. So, the U.S. colonized the Philippines in 1898. Filipino resisted, but independence was only granted in 1946.
Hi everyone, I am Maria Faecobalan and I will be reporting the Treaty of Paris. But before that, I will tell you first what is the reason why the Treaty of Paris happened back then. So here it goes, the reason. So it is due to the Spanish-American War. So it was a conflict fought in April 25, 1898 between the United States and Spain. So it started mainly because of the US supporting Cuba's fight for independence from Spain. So basically, kaninga time is the Cuba is suffering from the colonizers of Spain. So basically, yung mga Americans ani is nitabang sila or nihatag silang suporta to fight for Spain. So basically, mo to'y naka-create pod of reason pod ngano nga na ay conflict nilahang duha. So also, the war also followed the explosion of the US battleship Maine in Cuba's Havana Harbor. The US won the war quickly, and as a result, Spain lost its colonies including Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. So basically, katong giingon nga explosion, ang gipasangin lang sa US ato is ang Spain daguno kay lagi na among na create nga conflict. So no wonder sila ang gipasangin lang ato sa US. But ang war is ang nakadawog ato is ang US. So basically, ang US nakuha niya ang territory nga pag-aari sa Spain. So basically katong mga bansa nga ako ang gimension. So nakuha to niya. And ang Cuba is nakuha niya ang iyahang independence, and also the remaining countries nga gi-colonize sa Spain is mauto siya pagkabuhato nila nga Treaty of Paris. Mutay lang pagkasabutan. So mauto siya nahitabo sa giingon nga Spanish-American War. Next is the Protocol of Peace. So what is the Protocol of Peace? So it refers to the agreement that marked the end of the Spanish-American War. So this protocol was signed on August 12, 1898, called for an armistice. So what is armistice? So it is an agreement made by opposing sides in a war to stop fighting for a certain time. And this protocol was signed by William R. Day, the U.S. Secretary of State, and Jules Cambo, a French ambassador acting on behalf of Spain. The both sides decided to meet in Paris. So each country sent 5 representatives to work on this treaty. So first is the U.S. team included Senator K. Davis, William Frye, George Gray, and diplomat Whitelaw Reid. And the Spanish team included Eugenio Montero Rios, Buenaventura Varzosa, Jose de Garnica, Wenceslao Ramirez de Villa Urrutia, and Rafael Serrero. So, as you have noticed, wala ko naka-mention og mga representative from the countries like Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, and Philippines nga katuntang mga countries diba mo yung ilang sabutan unta. Unya, wala sila representative or wala gitel dito kung kinsa ang mga representative. So, basically, they didn't allow any representative from those countries, possibly because dili sila ganahan pod nga kanang naay maka-witness pod sa unsa ilang kuan kasabutan. Like, inana sila kamatan pod. Munay possible reason dagay nga dili sila ganahan pod nga naay maka-witness from those countries nga na-mention, especially the Philippines. But namo gigisent ang taga Pilipinas nga certain nga tawo nga mo witness unta, which is si Felipe Agoncillo. So he was a Filipino diplomat and one of the key representatives of the Philippine government. So he was sent in Paris to witness unta, but unfortunately he was denied. So mauto wala siya paapila og wala siya gi-acknowledge dito nga mo appeal. So maong si Agoncillo, he tried to protest by traveling Paris and submitted a petition, but iyahang efforts is nasayang na jud kay wala gud siya paapila. Kaingon jud ta nga matan jud sila, diba? So basically kato siya nga nauntay mo represent sa Pilipinas, pero ang nakaproblema ra is ilahang denied. Wala nila paapila sa certain treaty. Meetings were held between October and December 1898 with the resulting agreement, now known as the Treaty of Paris, being finalized on December 10. Sa ilahang nasabutan or sa agreement na muhatag ang US og $20 million para paliton ang Pilipinas. Even though nga nakadaog ang US og dako sila og sitawag ani dako sila advantages or dako sila power, is nihatag gyapon sila sa kanang Spain o kwarta para palito nila ang Pilipinas. So the reason why nga inato siya because the US wanted a smooth sailing relationship from the Spain. After the war, when the US bought the Philippines from the Spain in the Treaty of Paris, sila na ang nag-take charge sa Pilipinas, which is, ang mga Pilipino is nangalipay sila kay lagi ang pagtuon nila sa mga Americans is makatabang nila o makagrant nila og independence. Kay lagi katumanggong experience nila sa mga colonizer sa mga Spanish is grabe pud kaayo ang pang-aabuso. So mao to pagkabalo nila nga ang mga Americans na ang mo take charge nila na nalipay sila kay niana sila ito nga kani makuha na namo mo independence and then mabalik na sa una. But little did they know nga ang mga Americans na ay laing plano. So basically giilad ra sila. So mao to ang mga Americans they refused to grant the independence nga ganahan sa mga Pilipino. So, mao to yung reason pod nga naka-create na pod og another war which is the Philippine-American War. So, that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, so I am here to discuss the benevolent assimilation. So, the benevolent assimilation is an American policy regarding the Philippines, and it was being issued by William McKinley and was being proclaimed on December 21, 1898. So, ang ilahad akong goal ani nga proclamation is, according to the Americans, ang ilahang goal is dili para manakop. Dili para manakop. But to protect daw for the Filipino for their own rights. But the truth is, they are doing this proclamation para masakop nila ang Pilipinas. And in what way nila masakop ang Pilipinas? It is through pakikipagsundo sa mga Filipino and para po mag-gain sa mga Americans ang trust sa mga Filipino. So that is what the benevolent assimilation that is their goal, and that is their way para masakop ang Philippines.
So, today we're going to discuss on the American occupations of the Philippines, but before that, we will first read these objectives. To explore the provisions of Act Number 277, which is the Libel Law of 1901, to examine how illustrations depicting the white man's burden were used alongside Act Number 277, and to analyze Rudyard Kipling's poem, which is The White Man's Burden and its role in shaping American perceptions of the Philippines and justifying American imperial expansion. Illustrations depicting the white man's burden. So the poem was published in 1899 entitled The White Man's Burden during the Philippine-American War, and this poem encouraged the U.S. to take control of the Philippines, which had been gasakop sa Spain during the Spanish-American War. And Kipling's poem urged the U.S. to take off the burden by civilizing a task he presented as thankless and nobles. Human sa publication sa poem ni Kipling's, there was a debate happened during that time in the U.S. Senate over to annex the Philippines. So, Senator Benjamin read some stanzas from Kipling's poem during that debate, arguing that kaning mga US, they shouldn't take control on the burden of governing the Philippines. So, basically, the term white man's burden comes from a poem written by Kipling's, and it was to describe the idea that white Western nations like kaning US and the Britain believe na ang ilahang duty, ang ilahang responsibility is to civilize non-white people in colonized countries, which is ang Philippines. So, going from the poem again, entitled The White Man's Burden, the United States and the Philippines Island. So, this poem again encouraged like the US to colonize places like Philippines, and as you can see, sa pinakailalim, there is a stanza and it states half devil and half child. So they describe the native people as dangerous and immature in need of Western guidance. That's why we Filipinos has been colonized by the white people. Controversial siya again because well, there's an idea nga ni help sila, but although there was also a racist belief na ang mga non-white people is inferior and the colonization was selfish because ang nilang real goal nila is to exploit land resources of colonized countries while pretending na nitabang sila, which is kaning mga Filipinos. There's also the white man's burden apologies to Runyard. Nganong na siya apologies? This is because ang cartoonist is acknowledging that ilay gamit ang poem ni Kipling's, but they are doing so in a way nga it is critical of the poem's message. So basically, there is a cartoonist known as Victor Hilam na nisupport siya sa US President at that time, which is William McKinley, and nagdraw siya og cartoon to make a point about American civilization. So there are two characters named John Bull and Uncle Sam. So kani sila is characters ni sila. They are carrying people of color in basket sa ilahang likod, and then kani siya nga mga people, they are drawn in a way that there's a fan of them and show nga ang kani silang ilahang mga gi-carry sa likod nga naa sa basket is they are less civilized. And kaning si John Bull, which is ahead of Uncle Sam, meaning kaning mga Britain, they are being colonizers for a longer time. So kang Uncle Sam naman is gashow siya nga kaning iyang mga gi-carry is more primitive than kang John Bull nga gi-carry. Mo siya way ni Victor Hilam nga to show nga ang mga Britain is mas better of colonizing and civilizing. So what's the message of Victor Hilam's cartoon is to show that while countries are more better than others and that's their right to take over and civilize sa mga other na countries. So these are the important events that happened. First is the British Empire. So the British Empire was one of the largest empires in history, and it was built on the idea of the white man's burden. So during the British Empire, they took over many countries around the world, including the India, parts of Africa, and even the Canada. So they claimed that they were bringing civilization in these particular countries, but ang tinuod is they actually take advantage of the people and the resources there. So they took control of the land, resources again, and even the lives of the people living in there. So the second one is the scramble for Africa. European countries like Britain, France, Germany, and Belgium rushed to take over parts of Africa. They divided the continent into colonies, ignoring the existing cultures and borders. They justified this by saying they were bringing civilization to Africa. Diri naman sa the scramble for Africa, as European countries, like Britain, France, Germany, and Belgium, rushed to take over parts of the Africa. And as what it say, kanina nga, they divided the continent into colonies. Ilang ignore ang mga existing cultures and borders, and they were saying na bring sila og civilization, but they were driven by kanang greed and a belief in their own superiority, kay sila man ang superior those times. Next is the Philippine-American War, 1899 and 1902. So, this is what I'm saying, mga ang US, they wanted to control the Philippines, even though ang mga Filipinos kay ganahan sila o nga independent, but ang US claimed na they are helping the Filipinos by taking over, but they were really just trying to get what they wanted, and they used the idea of the white man's burden to justify their actions.
Okay, next, we're going to look at a controversial cartoon called The Filipinos First Bath. This cartoon was drawn in 1899, and it shows how some Americans viewed Filipinos at the time. The cartoons is important because it reflects how some Americans saw Filipinos as less than equal. It is a reminder of how important it is to understand different perspective and to treat everyone with respect, no matter where they came from. Let's observe first. Let's see if what we can see in the picture. Let's internalize first the picture kung unsay naaani. And as we can see in the picture, in this cartoon we see President McKinley, who was the leader of the United States at the time, and he is holding a Filipino child and trying to wash him, and the child looks scared, and the child is holding a spear. And then there are all other Filipino children in the background. Some are already washed and wearing clothes with the American flag on them. What does it mean? So, unsay meaning sa cartoon? Okay, so this cartoon show how some Americans at the time saw Filipinos. They also thought na Filipinos were like children who needed to be taught how to live by Americans, and they believe the United States was helping Filipinos by bringing them civilization and making them more like American. And based sa akong nasabtan sa picture, kana nga children nga gikugos, kana nga bata nga gikugos ni President McKinley is muna siya ang individual nga uncivilized pa, and those children nga naa sa likod nga which is nga gailis na, and then ilang clothes is na ay flag sa America, mga Americanos, and then those are the individuals nga matawag na nga civilized na sila. Next, we'll explore the concept of manifest destiny, a powerful belief that shaped American history in the 19th century. We will delve into what manifest destiny means, how it was expressed through art, and its lasting impact on the United States. What is manifest destiny? Manifest destiny was the belief that the United States was destined to expand across the entire North American continent. It was not just about land acquisition, but it was also about spreading American values, democracy, and civilization. The term manifest destiny was coined by a journalist named John L. O'Sullivan in 1845. He argued that the United States
had a divine right to expand its territory, including annexing Texas and Oregon. Paintings that depicted the vision. Okay, so at this time, artists of the time used their paintings to express the idea of manifest destiny. These paintings often portray the West as a land of opportunity, where settlers could build a new life and overcome challenges. Lastly, the impact of American history. What is the impact? So, Manifest Destiny had a profound impact on American history. It justified the westward expansion and the displacement of Native Americans' populations. The belief in American exceptionalism, the idea that the United States is a unique and exceptional nation, also stems from Manifest Destiny.
Hello everyone, I'm Marian Ecofino and I'm going to report about the painting of John Gast and the painting of Emmanuel Gottlieb Leodza. So the first painting is American Progress by John Gast in 1872. In the presentation of a Monassia ang painting ni John Gast. So it shows a woman, probably Colombia, personification of US, leading Americans toward the West. So in John Gast's painting American Progress, the woman in the center is known as Colombia. She represents the United States and the idea of progress. Siya mo'y nag-lead sa people to the West, symbolizing America's belief that they were meant to expand their land and spread their culture and values. As you can see in the painting, Colombia is bringing a book, which means enlightenment, and a telegraph wire binding the nation together. So, Colombia bringing a book, which means enlightenment. The book stands for knowledge, education, and progress. It shows that as Americans moved west, they brought learning and civilization to the new territories. Also, Colombia bringing a telegraph wire, which means binding the nation together. The telegraph wire symbolizes communication and connection. It shows how technology helped unite the country by making it easier to send messages across long distances. Next is Playing into Darkness are the Native Americans. So, this represents how Native Americans were pushed out of their lands by westward expansion. So, ang mga Native Americans kay napilitan ra sila na muhawa sa ilahang kaugalingon na yuta tungod sa westward expansion. As you can see in the painting, na siya nga dark color nga naa sa side. So, the darkness in the painting shows the pain, loss, and struggles Native Americans went through. Kung sa mga settlers called this progress, but it caused a lot of suffering for the native people. Ang meaning sa settlers kay mo ni siya ang mga tao mostly gikan sa Europe nga nibalhin sa North America to live and establish communities. Next is Westward, the Course of Empire Takes Its Way by Emmanuel Gottlieb Leodza in 1860. So, a Moral by Emmanuel Gottlieb Leodza created in 1860. So, this painting was made to inspire pride and show the idea of manifest destiny, the belief that Americans were meant to expand across the continent. Portray the American quest to expand westward with Pacific on the horizon from the original 13 stated along the Atlantic seaboard. So, the painting shows settlers moving from the original 13 colonies near the Atlantic Ocean toward the Pacific, symbolizing Americans' growth and expansion. Next is people in their train of covered wagons and other positions. So, the wagons and belongings show how pioneers brought everything they own to start new life in the West. So, as you can see sa slide, mo na siya ang example sa wagons. And then, ang meaning sa pioneers kay people who are the first to explore or settle in a new area. So, next is man showing his wife the glories of frontier and a boy looking truthfully in the future. So it means that the man pointing at the land shows hope for new opportunities, while the boy looking ahead represent the future generation who will build their lives there. So, ang overall message sa painting, so, the moral honors the bravery and hard work of the pioneers who travel west, hoping for a better life. It shows their belief that moving west was their destiny and focuses on progress, family, and a bright future. And that's all.
And now let's proceed to another topic, which is the primary sources of Philippine-American War. So after the Spanish-American War in the late 19th century, the Philippines was in chaos and many Filipinos hoped for independence. So Emilio Aguinaldo, thinking the Americans were there to help them fight Spain, set up a government and declared the First Philippine Republic in 1898. But as tensions grew between Filipino fighters and American soldiers, the U.S. declared its intention to take control of the Philippines through the Benevolent Assimilation Proclamation. This happened, or this sparked the Philippine-American War on February 4, 1899. The war saw many important battles such as the Battle of Terran Pass in December 1899. General Gregorio del Pilar was given the dangerous task of slowing down the advancing American forces to buy time for Aguinaldo to find a safer place. In his diary, Del Pilar called it the most glorious moment of his life despite the sacrifice it would cost. The Americans, led by Mayor Peyton March, eventually defeated Del Pilar's forces. Del Pilar's body was looted with his valuable items like diamond ring and gold coin being taken. The war, as Filipinos fought for independence, was also affected by new laws from the U.S. about defamation and libel. The Libel Act of 1901 in the Philippines aimed to control harmful speech while allowing the truth to be used as a defense in court. This was part of the U.S. effort to control public opinion during the conflict.